Hello everybody, Jake here for FM Scout, and in today's video we're going to be looking at 10 of the best young Wonderkid left backs in FM21. Now obviously I can't put every single left back Wonderkid in the video, so if you have your personal choice that I miss out in this video, then let people know in the comments. That way if anyone's in the comments, maybe they'll find your guy and be able to go and sign him in their saves. And it helps everyone out. If you do enjoy today's video or get any use out of it, then please feel free to hit that like button. It really helps push these videos out to more people, and we are aiming for 100,000 subscribers. By the time this goes up, we might be very close, we might have even surpassed it. So if you're not already subscribed and you do enjoy the videos, then consider hitting that subscribe button because it helps us out a lot. So let's get straight into the first Wonderkid, no messing about. And in no particular order, the first left back Wonderkid we're looking at is Ricardo Calafiore of Roma. He is in Roma's under-20s team, he is 18 years old, Italian, and has some pretty decent stats at the age of 18. Bear in mind though, like I say in every Wonderkid video, if you've watched these before, you've heard this already. But obviously, some Wonderkids can be different in different saves. They do have like a potential range. So some Wonderkids in your save could be better, some could be worse. But the 10 that I pick in this video are hopefully universal picks that will do well in all saves. So yeah, Ricardo Calafiore is a 18-year-old left back valued at only £325,000. But if we ask the agent about the availability, they think Roma will want anywhere between 3.5 and £7 million for him. Let's say you negotiate that down to about 4 million. I think you'd be getting a pretty good deal with this guy. He's 6'1", which is always nice because height isn't something that always comes as a player develops, but something that will develop are his mentals, which aren't at the best right now. But they're not too bad at all either, to be honest. For a left back, he's got 14 flair, 13 aggression, 14 work rate, 14 determination. Hopefully by the age of 20 he can have a few greens in here if you mentor him and train him right. Physically he is tall, so that usually means that he isn't going to be as fast, and you can kind of see that here. His pace is at 13, which isn't too bad either. Natural fitness at 14. Hopefully they will go up as he develops. But his technicals really stand out for an 18-year-old, to be honest, because he's got 13 crossing, 13 dribbling at only the age of 18. 12 first touch, 13 technique, and then his defensive stats aren't as good with only 11 marking, 11 tackling, and 10 anticipation, and fairly low concentration and decisions, which is why he's best suited, as you can see, to the attacking roles, whether it's as a fullback or a wing-back, because his attributes do seem to favour the attacking side of his game. So whilst he might not be the finished article already, obviously you could see when I was talking about him here, there was a lot of this could be a little bit better. But that is going to happen with a lot of Wonderkids. Other than your really big names, most of them don't come ready-made and will take a little bit of training, mentoring, and game time. And I think given game time, and I know, this guy can turn out to be a very good player. Before we talk about the next left back on the list, I'd just like to say the link to my channel will be in the description. We're getting close to 600 subscribers over there, with the Chelsea save going on over there at the minute. So if you want to check it out, see what I look like, then feel free, and thank you for all your support on there so far. So the second player we're looking at in this list, he has a face, which is quite nice. I still haven't downloaded a face pack yet, I'll get to it soon. I've been very busy with uni work at the minute, but thankfully this one has got an already generated face, and that is Noah Katterbach. He plays for Köln. I've probably butchered his pronunciation there. The 19-year-old German international. I've also realised I probably pronounced that wrong. Is that Cologne? I don't know. I'm just going to say how it's written. Köln. It's definitely Cologne, isn't it? Anyway, he's a 2-star left back. This is with Chelsea, by the way, so he's being compared to Chelsea players. 2-star fullback. Wingback, complete wingback. He can play in a lot of roles, and you can see that based on his attributes because they're all very well rounded. Much like Calafiore, his physicals aren't the best, but again, can be developed. I've heard rumours that this guy can be a bit injury prone, so keep an eye on that. But he is already a pretty good talent at left back, and whilst he might not be ready for, say, a Premier League team, I think maybe a high-level championship club he'd fit right in, and obviously he is going to develop. He will skyrocket in terms of his stats. His mental stats are actually pretty good for a left back, with high determination as well, which will hopefully help him achieve his goals a little more. He's either-footed, which is very useful. Just makes him a bit more of a natural talent when it comes to the attacking side of his game, which again isn't the world's best left back in terms of attacking, but he's got some decent stats with 13 tackling and technique, which are going to help him in the defensive side, as well as 12 marking, 12 passing, 13 dribbling, and 12 crossing. Other than marking, of course, they'll all help him be a pretty competent attacker too. So he's quite a good all-round left back, can do a variety of roles. I mentioned about him being injury prone. He actually starts off injured, and I believe Köln don't want too much for him. Yeah, you can see here anywhere between around 5, 6, 7 million pounds. they will accept for Catabatch, and I think that would be a pretty good deal. I wouldn't sign him to be, say, the starting left back at Chelsea, but if you were looking for a backup left back who would one day go on to be a top level left back for you, then I think this guy is one of the best there is. Now the next player we're looking at will probably be more of a budget option than some of the others, but I think nonetheless he is one of the better left backs on the list, and that is Liberato Cache. He is a New Zealand international, 19 years old, 3 caps for the national team already, playing for STVV in Belgium, so you'll probably need the Belgium teams loaded. He came from Wellington Phoenix and they paid 1.1 million for him very recently, as you can see, which means he won't be available for transfer straight away, but because he isn't playing for the best club, when you are eventually able to buy him, hopefully you'll be able to get him on a cheaper fee. And I really like this guy. He's definitely more of an attacking left back than he is a defending left back, but he's got some really nice player traits already. Cuts inside from left wing, bring the balls out, doesn't dive into tackles, and plays some short simple passes. He's 6 foot tall with good natural fitness, really good physical stats with 15 acceleration and 14 pace, so you imagine when he's developed a bit more at the age of 2021, he's going to have a few more green attributes on here, looking very good. His mental attributes aren't the best, but some decent determination will help him out in his development, and there's nothing that's too cause for concern. Obviously, get him mentored and hopefully that will all fix. But his technical stats are nice too for a 19-year-old. Again, he's probably not going to compare to the best left backs on the game, but he will be a very good left back at full development, and like I say, he is a bit more of a budget option. Much like the other two we've looked at, there's nothing too stand out in his technicals, but they're all at a good level to build off of. So I think if you're looking for a really attacking minded left back or wing back, he is natural at both, then Liberato Cache of STVV could be your man. Now the next left back we're looking at is one of my favourites on the list. It's Owen Windall from AZ. The 20-year-old Dutch international has got a bright future ahead of him. On my own channel last year on FM20 I had a save with Vitesse. We ended up getting this guy because he was so good whenever we came against him in the Eredivisie. And there's a few reasons why. Firstly, he's a bit further along in his development. You should note that he is 20 years old, so he won't have as much scope to improve as some of the others, but he can still, and he already is quite a good left back, but he will become a top left back playing for a good club if you give him the opportunity. His player traits are gets forward whenever possible, which is obviously quite good if you want an attacking player, hugs the line and crosses early, so you can imagine he is a very out wide player, but he does dive into tackles. Hopefully that doesn't cause you too much problems. It's probably caused by his 15 aggression and 16 bravery, but before we get onto his mentals, let's look at his physicals. The 5'9" Dutch left back has some good pace with 14 acceleration and 14 pace with 15 stamina, so he'll get up and down the line, and obviously in 2 or 3 years he's going to keep growing, so his physical stats are at a good level already. He's not the tallest in the world, so don't expect him to be like a set piece threat, but he will bomb up and down that line for you, and you can see his best roles are in them attacking roles. Mentally, he's the strongest player we've looked at so far, which probably comes down to his age. Again, he's a bit further along in his development than some of the other players, but as we've already mentioned, his aggression and bravery are high, as well as his anticipation, determination, flair, decisions. Off the ball, you get the idea. Very good in his mental stats and will continue to get better. And his technicals are really nice too, because quite often you find if he does have 14 crossing and 13 dribbling and 13 passing, he's going to be one of them attacking left backs who can't defend. But as we've seen already, his bravery, anticipation, aggression, and then you can see he's got a tackling here of 15. It really helps him out at the back. Yes, his marking could do with a little bit of work, as could his concentration, but he's definitely on the way to being a top level player. I haven't checked this already. Let's see who's interested in him. There you go, Benfica. That shows you the kind of clubs that will be after him. A top level club Benfica are, and I think this guy would slot into any Premier League team, even some of the big boys. He'd definitely be a good backup or a good starting left back for some of them. But you can imagine, let's say a Newcastle, if they sign this guy, he'd walk into their team and be a top level left back. This guy will come a little bit more pricey than some of the others as he is further developed in his career, so there's less chance of him being a flop. Therefore, his price is usually 15 million plus. So keep an eye on him, and I think he can be a great left back for you if you decide to sign him. Now we're looking at another budget option, and this guy probably isn't as good as some of the others, but not everyone is going to have £15 million plus to spend, and Toni Herrera comes in from Levante's B team, the 19-year-old Spanish international, as a budget option at around £2 to £3 million. There isn't long left on his deal, so maybe if you don't want to go out and buy him, you could put him on the shortlist, and then when he is available you will get alerted. But I think £2-3 million for this guy is not a bad deal at all. Whilst he has no standout attributes, and I won't go into him too much, he does have quite a high potential, and whilst he isn't going to reach the same levels that a Windall might do or a Catabatch might, he is still going to be a good level left back, and at his peak could definitely fit in the Premier League somewhere. I wouldn't say sign him and then instantly put him in your first team unless you are a lower down division club, but as we can see already, he is quite readily available. His mental stats are pretty good for a base set that you can build upon, and he's not particularly lacking at anything so much that you think, oh, this is an unusable player. He can definitely develop, and given the right training and mentoring, he does, and he will become one of the better left backs in the game if you treat him right. But as I did say, compared to some of the others, he is already 19, he is getting a bit older than some of the other players and not as good as them, so there is a reason why he's still in Levante's B team. However, when he does grow, he can be very good, and for that reason he is in the list. We're halfway through the list now, and the next player we're looking at has recently transferred to Bologna, so you won't be able to buy him straight away, but he is one of the most well-known left-back wonderkids in the world at the minute, I would say, and that is Aaron Hickey. The 18-year-old Scottish international came from Hearts in the Scottish League and has moved on to a pretty reputable club in Bologna. Will be playing Serie A football when he gets some starts. And you can see why they've bought him. They've got a bargain really for, what was it, only 1 million? 1.8 million pounds is a bargain for him in my opinion. Bologna have made some good business there because physically he's pretty good. Again, nothing too stand out, but 15 pace, 14 acceleration. All you really need from a left back, decent stamina, decent natural fitness. That's what you want when you are looking at a fullback, and obviously his strength and stuff will increase over time. He is only 18. Mentally, yes, he is lacking in the anticipation and flair, but he is determined, he is brave, he works well in the team and works hard. There's not much more you can ask for from a young player. These other things can come in time. And then, technically, he is pretty good too for an 18-year-old. Can definitely throw his weight about with all the other players mentioned on the list, and he is only 18. Scotland produced Kieran Tierney a few years ago, and now Aaron Hickey could be on track to be the next best Scottish left-back. Obviously, there's been Robertson, Tierney's came through. Hickey is one of the most exciting prospects that Scotland have produced for a while, and you can see why. His attributes are very good for an 18-year-old. And I think he would suit most teams. He'd be a good backup left back at the start, and for lower level teams he'd be straight in their first team, I imagine. And you can see the potential for growth here. I don't really need to explain it to you, but with base stats like this, he's built a really stable foundation for you guys to build upon and craft him into a world-class left back. So we had a player from Levante's B team a minute ago, and now we've got a player from Valencia's B team in Jesus Vasquez. Now, compared to the guy at Levante, I forget his name already now, what was it? Toni Herrera, that was it. Well, Jesus Vasquez is 2 years younger than him and already, in my opinion, on another level. He can play left back, he can play left wing back, and he can kind of play left midfield, but better suited to the fullback positions, hence why he is in this video. At the age of 17, obviously he's got room to grow and a higher ceiling than some of the others, so if you can buy him early and mould him into the type of player you want through training, he will be world class no doubt. But he is already very good because 13 crossing, 14 first touch and 14 tackling show that he can do the attacking phase and the defensive phase quite well, hence why it's suggesting we play him as a support left back here so he can do all the roles. And again, at the age of 17 they're only going to get better, so very good attributes for a 17-year-old. He's quite quick, he's determined, he makes good decisions, his mentals do need a bit of work to be honest, but don't every 17-year-olds really. So Jesus Vasquez from Valencia's B team, if you can pick him up, he will be really useful for you, but I believe he will come quite pricey. Let's have a look if we have, yeah, they're not really inclined to sell Valencia. We'll make an offer just to see what they're looking at. It's going to be a lot of money. Actually, that's not too bad. If you whittled that price down to around £10 million, I think you'd be getting a pretty decent player. His contract does run out in 2 seasons. I'm not saying that he is worth £10 million straight away, but when he progresses, he definitely will be, and you will reap the rewards from signing this guy. Heading into the final 3 players on this list now, number 10, by the way, is my favourite, so stick around to see him. But Ryan 8 Nouri is a Football Manager legend from the last couple of years. He's always been one of the best left backs you can get, playing for Angers in the French league, but on loan at Wolves with an option to buy of around £20 million for Wolves, so it's likely that Wolves will sign him, and it'll be pretty hard to get your hands on this guy, I'm not going to lie. But there's a reason why, because he is such a good player already at only the age of 19. He recently scored in the Premier League for Wolves, I believe, in real life. He's got really nice physical stats for his age. Another one of the French generation that's coming through of some top young talent with the likes of Camavinga, Meslier, obviously Mbappe's already reached the heights, but Ryan 8 Nouri could be another one if he achieves his undoubted potential, which is obviously very high. Mentally, he's really strong already at the age of 19. No wonder he's settled into the Premier League quite well so far. High determination, good off the ball, positioning, anticipation, all are going to help him out at left back, and he is more inclined to the attacking phase of the game with 14 crossing, 14 first touch and 13 passing, but he doesn't lack in that defensive area either, with 13 tackling and 12 marking. So Ryan Nouri is the 8th left back on this list, and again is one of my favourites on here. Now we're getting close to number 10 on the list, but second to last is David de la Vibora, who is one of them where he isn't as good as some of the others at the start. In terms of left backs this year, he's got one of the highest potentials, and you can kind of see where that's coming from here. To be honest, he's 17, and compared to the guy at Valencia that we looked at, Vasquez, I'd say he doesn't look as good as Vasquez, but Vibora does become a top player. Physically, he's not doing too bad for himself already, with some nice natural fitness and pace. He's determined, but that's pretty much all you're going to find here. Decent tackling, decent passing. He's definitely one of them that you can mould however you like, because he's not very defined just yet. He does have some nice traits of getting forward and playing 1-2s, and based on the fact that he's being suggested as a wing-back in the attack role, you can kind of see that he is more favourable of pushing forward. Natural at wing-back too, as most of these new left-backs that are coming through are, because obviously their game is so much more centred around attacking nowadays, and his contract is expiring at the end of the first season. So if you keep your eye on him, maybe in January you can get a cheap deal for him. I believe if you are a lower level team, you can get this guy on loan in the first season too. I think Real Madrid are offering him out for loan. But this left back can go on to do big things. I know it doesn't look like it here, but out of most of them, he's actually got a higher potential than most. So he can definitely become a really good player. You just need to give him the chance for his talent to shine. And I assure you, if you sign him and do everything right with him, you probably won't need another left back on that save. Finally, who else is it going to be other than Nacho Mendez, my favourite player on the list? I did a Wonderkids to Superstar video around a week or so ago, so if you want to check that out, you can see what this guy looks like in around 5 years, and let me just say, he is absolutely sensational. Probably not even one of the best left backs in the world, maybe one of the best players in the world at full growth. And you can see at the age of 18 just why, because physically he's already nearly perfect in terms of his attributes. Obviously they will get better, you're going to see more growth, but no one's going to complain if you buy him and they are his attributes for all time. Mentally he's really good too, which does serve him well in his development. There's nothing he's really lacking in, and he can easily grow into a really good player mentally, which we saw in the Wonderkids to Superstar episode. And then you can see his technical stats here. Whilst he is an amazing attacker with 14 crossing and 14 dribbling and first touch, 13 passing, all really good for a left back, and you can see he's classed as a 2.5-star fullback already, and obviously favours the attacking phase of the game. But his defending is really good too, with some good tackling and some good mental stats that will help him in the defensive side. Now this guy doesn't come cheap. He has a release clause of £41 million. I've often seen in my saves Man City activating that. We signed him for Manchester United in the Wonderkids to Superstar episode for about that price, and he went on to do really good things. Let's see if they'd accept anything less for him. No. The likelihood is you will have to pay his release clause, but I promise you he will be worth it. You won't have to buy a left back again, guaranteed. He becomes not only one of Portugal's best players, but like I said, one of the best players in the world. And whilst £41 million might seem like a lot, when you think about the fact that you probably won't have to sign another left back, it's not too bad. So Nacho Mendez is definitely one to keep your eye out for, not just in Football Manager, but in real life too. And he is the last player on this list. So hopefully you have got some useful information out of this list. And if you're going to sign any of these players, let me know in the comments. And again, if you have a favourite player who I missed out, put them in the comments, because then other people can see it and get some more use out of this video. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you did enjoy. I've been Jake for FM Scout. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next video, guys. Goodbye.